Okay, we're going to make some stuffing now. I'm going to make a cranberry and pistachio stuffing, but you can make all different variations from the same thing. And we're going to use sausage meat as well. And sausage meat has got huge amounts of flavour in it anyway, because it is seasoned and it has got herbs and it has got spices in it. But we're just going to add a little bit more embellishment. So I'm going to sort of do a basic one, sort of. But then talk through other things that you can do with it as well. And it's amazing for stuffing into birds, into chicken. We're going to be making some, I'm just going to show you how to make some koftas, going to make some stuffing balls, going to make a stuffing tray, and also going to make a stuffing in tin foil as well. And I've got some streaky bacon, so I can show you how to wrap it in streaky bacon too. So I've got a sausage meat, going to get an onion. I'm just going to show you how to chop an onion. So just going to take a little bit of the root off, so it keeps a little bit of the root in. That way it holds it together. Take the top off, straight down the middle, again avoiding with your bridge, your fingers, and then just strip that back. That's the boring bit. If you're really naughty, you get in trouble if you're a chef, if you just rip layers off, because then you're wasting all your onion. Get shouted at in the kitchen by me. Put that out of the way. So I'm not going to use all this onion because I really want a medium onion for this. So I'm just probably going to use this big chunky half. Root at the back. You can just about see it there. It's going to hold it together. Claw hands. Bang down with your knife, avoiding that last sort of few millimetres of onion at the back, and that's going to hold it together. Bridge, so you're straight through. Again, avoiding your fingers. You can slice it that way as well, and it makes it a little bit finer, but then sometimes it breaks all up, so I try not to teach it that way. And then straight down this way to get your nice fine bits of onion. And when you get to the end, I do what we call a triangle. Whip it down so it's nice and flat. Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. And you've got the root. Get rid of that. And then you've just got this little bit. You just need to chop that way. Again, fingers always at your way. Health and safety and all that. And then if you ever want to, if your onions aren't quite as fine as you want them, just pack them in like that. Hand on top of your knife and bang down with your heel. And just keep banging down until you break them down a little bit. But that's fine. I reckon they're fine like that. Do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah.
All right. Boom, boom, boom. So that's it. So your onions are done. Got pistachios. Got our cranberries. Got some paprika. I'm going to put a little bit of paprika in it. I like paprika because I call it a neutral spice. It just adds a little bit of fragrancy to the dish, but it's always good to cook your spices out as well. Going to whack the heat up, and I'm going to use some cold pressed rapeseed oil, a local product, and it's got a higher saturation than, so you can get it to a higher temperature than olive oil, but it's also 50% less saturated fat than olive oil, plus it's local, grown in the UK, imported all over the world. So a little bit in there, not too much, just enough to get it going. Make sure it's hot first, never put onions in a cold pan, or anything in a cold pan really. Get it nice and hot. Let's do streaky bacon on a pan. We won't go into that yet. Nice and hot. You want to hear a sizzle? Yay, got a sizzle. Here we go. So, wooden spoon. Let them cook. So I'm just going to break those down a little bit. Now a little tip, if you put the salt and pepper in now, well more the salt, it will just release some of those juices and just make them cook a little bit quicker. That's using less oil in fact. And then while I'm at it, I just put the pepper in there too. Then it's done. So you can see they're already going to pay it. Just going to turn the heat down a little bit, just so I've got a little bit of control of it. Make a little well in the middle. I'm going to put my paprika in. So about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. It's not spicy at all, it's just ground down pepper. Let the heat get to it. And as you see, that lovely flavour. Can you smell that, Matt? Smells really good. All that flavour is going to permeate into those onions and make it taste even lovelier. And all we want to do is just soften those onions up, that's it. Make them a pay it and cook that spice out. So about a minute on spices, just to bring the flavour out. At the end of the day, the spice is just something that's dried, so it needs hydrating. It's really important to cook it out. If I was the food police, I would arrest anyone that didn't put spices out. Just saying. Like in chicken coronation and you get like raw curry spice. Rah. There we go. Done. You could give it another minute or two, that's fine. Ideally we would cool that down a little bit, but we're in blue peter time, so we need to get this on and get this in. Because what we're going to do is when we mix it with our sausage meat, it's going to kind of heat up the sausage meat a little bit, which is against health and safety. But we don't care. We're going to show you how to do it this way. So ideally, just leave it on the side, let it cool off for about 5-10 minutes. But if I put it in this dish, hopefully it'll cool down a little bit more. Whack it there. Away. There you go. So got these lovely onions. So I used 1 medium onion, teaspoon of paprika, about half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of oil is enough. You can use other oil if you haven't got rapeseed oil, that's fine. Olive oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, whatever you fancy. And I'm going to use about 450 to 500 grams of our sausage meat. So just put that in there, mix it up. Should get my hands in this really, but a little bit hot, so I'll just use a spoon for now. And it is that easy. That easy. We've already seasoned the onions anyway, so don't need to put any more seasoning in. We've already got our paprika in there, and I've already, put my salt and pepper in, so it's all good. And there is obviously seasoning in the sausage meat anyway, so that's all good. So I'm just going to throw our cranberries in. Hence, it's good for Christmas. This, and I'm going to put my pistachios in as well. You could chop these pistachios up if you want to, but I quite like them whole. I like seeing them in their whole. And then other alternatives are to use about 50-60 grams of anything you fancy. So like chestnuts are really good. You can get puree chestnut, which is okay, but I prefer the whole chestnuts that you can buy in the vacuum packs. They're really good, just chopped up. You can use other nuts as well. Pine nuts are really good. You can use things like onion, sage, in there, lots of other herbs that you can use. So basically, whatever you fancy, you can make sausage meat stuffing out of. Lovely, lovely, loveliness. Now this does actually bind together because it has a certain amount of fat content in it. Fat helps bind it together. But you could do, if you wanted to bulk it out a little bit more, which we used to do in the chefy days, but don't tell anyone, is add a little bit of egg in there or a whole egg in there and a couple of handful of breadcrumbs. It just bulks it out a little bit, but you don't need to because the fat will just help bind it. You can see it's already quite sticky. So at this point, I'm going to get my hands in and get ready. I'm going to get some water. Ideally, I'll just go to the sink and wash, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to use it here. So if I've got some cold water, it stops it sticking to my hands. So I'm just going to give it a little mix through again, just to make sure it's all bound up together. And I'm going to show you some different things you can do with it. So whenever you're making meatballs, the tip is to have cold, damp hands. So just wash them in cold water and leave them damp. And then you can grab a piece of sausage and just roll it in a ball. And you can see it doesn't stick because of the water in your hands. Make it into balls. So you can do stuffing balls. They would take about 10 to 15 minutes to bake in the oven on about 180 to 200 degrees. They're really lovely. And you can make these the day before as well. And even if you make stuffing balls and don't have them as stuffing, you can have them with pasta, tomato sauce. You can do all sorts of things with them. They're lovely. So there's your balls. Your stuffing balls. The other thing you can do is kofta. If you were to use skewers, make sure you soak them in cold water because that stops them from burning and setting fire in the oven. It's not a good thing with a barbecue. So grab a handful. You can make burgers out of this as well actually, couldn't you? Grab a handful, pull it out like this and you've got a kofta kebab. Just blend it round. And I've done this at Christmas. I've made kofta kebab stuffing. Why not? Something different, and you can grill it on Christmas Day as well, so it's out the way. Let me just show you. So you've got your kofta. You can either have it like this or you can wrap it in streaky bacon as well. I'll do that in a minute, that'll be cool. And then the other thing you can do is you can just push it all into a tray as well and just have it like that. Make sure you grease the tray. Ooh, this lovely water. Move it out of the way. But the method that I use the most is just the stuffing roll. So ideally I would put some butter on that, but I've got my I've got my oil here, so I can just put a little bit of oil on that. You can season this as well if you want to, a little bit of extra season or some herbs, something like that. Do that, and then just shove it in the middle. So easy. How long did that take, Matt? 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes to make fresh homemade stuffing. Don't need packs though. And you can get your sausage meat next to the sausages in all the supermarkets or butchers. And if you can't get hold of sausage meat, use sausages. Just pull them out of their skins and use that instead. So you can do that and wrap it up that way if you want to, or alternatively, let me just wash my hands again. We can play with some bacon. Shove that out of the way. So I'm just going to I've got some streaky bacon here. So there's a few things that we can do with this. Get a piece of streaky, just double streaky. You've got your other bit there as well. Now, always good to stretch this out. Just use the back of your knife and just push it. And you make it so much bigger. Look at that, look. Thin it out and make it bigger. I've got my chopping board here as well because I don't want to cross-contaminate. Hashtag health and safety. So if I was making the kofta, I could wrap this in the streaky bacon. How sexy is that? That's a sexy kofta, isn't it? Wrap it up. And so that will go all lovely and crispy on the outside. You can even use some more, look. Use as much as little as you like. One bit, loads of bits, whatever you fancy. So there's your Christmas stuffing balls, koftas. So it's kind of a bit like having your pigs in blankets and your stuffing all in one. Look at that. That looks good. I think it looks good. And then we're going to roll out some more. So you can have it like this and just cover it up and cook it in an oven about 160 to 180 in the bottom. I tend to put it in sort of the bottom shelves of the oven as well because it doesn't need too much heat, too much extra heat. And I would probably give that about 30 or 40 minutes to make sure that was lovely and cooked. But a temperature probe's always a good thing, but it's always good to cut it open anyway just to double check because all ovens cook differently. Whack this on. You see how much that stretches just by a little bit of manipulation there. So with this we can, I've kind of done this the wrong way around really, but what I would do normally, take it off there, put this on this like this. You can even cut them a bit smaller as well because they're quite big. Making a mess now, aren't they? Like that. Line them up. A little bit so that we cut off. Add them in between. One last piece for luck. And then you just put your stuffing on top. And as you can see, you can then wrap it around then. Like a little plat version. It didn't take too long either. Nice and quick. Again, cover it in tin foil. Let it cook for about your sort of 30-40 minutes, and then take, because you've got crispy bacon on it, you want to make that nice and crispy, or because you've got streaky bacon on it, you want to make it nice and crispy. So, when you've done your 20-30 minutes, just leave it like that, let it in the oven, an extra 10 minutes on about 200 or under the grill, and that's going to go lovely and crispy, and then you just have a lovely slice of that on Christmas Day. Beautiful. Then later, I'll be showing you how to make the chicken, boning the chicken out, and then using the stuffing to stuff into the chicken, or serving it with your stuffing, either way. So here's our stuffing that we made earlier with our cranberries and our pistachios, but you can put anything you want in your stuffing. It's just a sausage meat base. You can just use sausage meat, to be honest, and just an onion and some sage if you fancy. And I cooked this in the oven for 30 minutes. Actually, I forgot about it, to be honest, and it was in there for 35-40. And I made sure it was nice and 75 degrees in the middle because it's sausage meat, want to make sure it's cooked. And then I just took the tin foil from around it and just left it under the grill so I got all the crispy bacon on top. But I'm just going to cut a slice in the middle just so you can see how sexy it is. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be nice and moist as well. Look at that. Oh, lovely. So you've got your lovely pistachios, your lovely cranberries through there. We've got our onions. We've got a little bit of paprika in there. So all good for Christmas Day. Nice slice of that with some turkey, some goose. Beautiful.